You're listening to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is all about helping you grow your real estate investment portfolio and live the life you want to live. Come grow with us and join our community at thereiteclub.com. And now your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.
Here's the thing: is university is not the be-all and end-all anymore.
No.
I think there was a period of time that that's what you do in order to get a job, but in order to become wealthy, the mindset is that you don't want to be an employee working for somebody else. Like, you could do it for a short amount of time as you're saving your money from your salary or what you can, and then you're investing that. But I actually don't think it's that bad of an idea, because ultimately you're going to spend $100,000, $50,000, and obviously depends where they go, for something that they may or may not use. I mean, I went to school for nursing. I'm not doing anything with nursing. Like, yes, I graduated, yes, I passed, and but at the end of the day, I could have gone to school for anything. I could have done it online, and I would have likely come and had the same results at the end of the day. So, I don't think it's, necessary anymore. And I think you guys think you're entrepreneurs, right? So you think outside the box. It's not like you're like, oh, your kids have to go to school. They have to go to university in order to get a job and become an employee. Like, that is, sorry to say, but that mindset is old school. It's just, it doesn't work like that anymore.
It is, and just I listen to a lot of I'm not sure in English, les futurologues, so people that predict the future, not mediums or clairvoyants or anything like that, but people that look at trends and analysis. I really forget the word in English there, but anyway, the trends with all that's happening with COVID, a lot of robots and automation will happen everywhere, even in retirement homes. If you look at Japan, they use robots for retirement homes, things like that, which seems very far-fetched in Canada, but it's not. Give it a few years, and that's going to cut off a lot of jobs that university grads would have taken. So now you have to create your own job, and I've been in that business, like creating my own job for years. So I see that for my kids, absolutely. But having a BA is always nice on your resume, but no employer checks that, very, very rarely, unless you're in a specialized field. So.
Well, and you know what? If you want to take a course, you can do it anytime, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that says you can't. Like, education is great. You learn, and it opens up all kinds of doors. So if you want to take a course online or even in person, because eventually we'll be doing it again, do it. Doesn't need to be all at once packed into 4 years as soon as you leave secondary school. But I want to get on to another question about how you manage your properties, because you have a lot of properties all over the place.
Yeah.
So how do you do the property management? That's a big deal for people.
Yes. So actually New Brunswick, obviously I can't go because you need 14-day isolation and just the traveling and all that, and owning the business and the family and everything. So I have property management out there, and they look after the property, and we just hear back from financials, and they send us videos and photos of what's happening. Do we need repairs, things like that. Locally, I do it myself, which maybe isn't the best idea for scaling. For scaling, normally you want a team, but I haven't found that team yet that I'm happy with. Same with New Brunswick. I just recently switched to a very good company. I had some very bad experience right before that. So it's hard to delegate your properties. They're a little bit like my babies. So like I said, the interior designer in me, I just see things, oh, you're not doing it the right way, you don't paint, you push too hard on the paintbrush. So I'm a little bit of a control freak, which is not very good for property management.
So I think, but I agree with you, right? I think if it's manageable and you're not spending hours and hours and hours on it, then, I mean, I self-manage my own properties, but I'll tell you, it doesn't take a whole lot of time, because you need some good, HVAC contractors, handyman.
Just call them and.
Exactly. And so, because I mean, just from one person that manages to another, like, how long does it take you on an average month to manage the properties that you're managing, as an example?
Most months, 0 minutes.
Okay.
Because what I did, and that's the biggest tip, is get good tenants. The good tenants will take care of the place.
Yeah. And
then you just show up, and I have some tenants that call me, oh, the grass would need a little bit more fertilizer. Well, okay, I send them some fertilizers, and they just fertilize it for me, and that's it. Or the other person, oh, the porch needs some painting. I just call them up, hey, would you like to paint? I'll send you some paint and some paint brushes. and they do it. In the next few weeks, I drive past, oh yeah, it's looking good, thank you. And that's it. So good tenants that care about where they live. Now, obviously this is a small multifamily, so that's why we're able to do that, like a duplex, triplex. If it's a complex, I'm not gonna get someone to start paint the halls and stuff, but they each have individual entrances, so they have beautiful gardens. So yeah, it's just a lot of months is 0 minutes actually.
Well, there you go, right? So you're going to hire a property manager for, I don't know, 5 or 8 or 10% a month off of your gross for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, or just fielding calls. So, you know,
Yeah.
I think it's totally fine. I mean, and at some point, so like, you know, my plan is at some point, I'm just going to take my portfolio and I'm going to be traveling a lot more. And maybe at that point, I'm going to give the whole portfolio to somebody who, you know, when they have multiples and multiples rather than just a handful, you're going to be much more of an important client. So they're going to have, you know, likely they're going to pay a little bit more attention to it because they don't want to, you know, lose the entire portfolio. But if it's working for you, I mean, I love self-managing myself. Like you said, tenants are super important, and we have to control who we give the keys to as much as possible if you can pick them
Yes.
yourself. Have you ever had any bad horror tenant situations, or have you?
I have one currently, unfortunately. So it's a separation, and it's just gone very, very sour. And anyway, we're just working through the process of eviction. This one's going to be tough though, because she doesn't fit most of the categories in the landlord and tenant board. So the rent's always paid on time. There were some noise issues, but then the tenants upstairs moved out, and they were the ones complaining, and the new tenant doesn't mind the noise, so I can't get a complaint. And then there's some damage, but then she repaired it. And anyway, it's just ongoing. Everything gets fixed just as soon as I'm trying to evict the person, then there's a new surprise. So but everybody gets one. I think it's part of the deal. And anyway, it's very hard. They came with good references, but I learned that previous landlords lie.
Yes.
So that's a big tip, everybody who's listening to this. References from a previous landlord, you have to take it with a big grain of salt, and be aware sometimes they're trying to get rid of a bad tenant and just saying, oh yes, they're wonderful.
Yeah, current. So current landlords lie.
Yeah.
Past landlords that have already got rid of them, you know, likely don't have a reason to lie. But I agree with you that the current one that they're living in, if they're bad and they're trying to get them evicted or whatnot, they're, you know, take that with a grain of salt, 100%.
Yeah.
How do you find your tenants? Like, I know we're soon going to be finished talking, but if you can quickly just tell us how you find your tenants and what do you look for in tenants?
Yeah, so we advertise on, well, in Ottawa, Zumper.com is very good. Facebook Marketplace is amazing for Cornwall. New Brunswick, it's my property management. So yeah, just free ads, Kijiji, depends on the market, but I find Ottawa Zumper is the best place. And like I said, Cornwall, Facebook Marketplace. And what do I look for? I want to see strong financials so that they're able to actually pay for the rent. Like it's not, if their rent is $1,000 a month, that I want them to earn $3,000 a month, like about 30% at the most. But if they're earning $2K and they're spending $1K in rent, they're putting themselves in trouble. So I care about the tenants. I want to make sure they're okay and that they do well. And maybe this is not the right place for them. That's all. It just becomes a bad situation if it's too expensive. So
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it sounds like you've got a good process. You've got a lot of steps you go through just to make sure and verify that your information is in fact correct. So what's the next step for you? I mean, where do you want to take the real estate investing to at the next level? What does that look like and when?
yes, so just a few weeks ago, I was bidding on a 14-unit building, and it had land to double in size. So I'm looking at more redeveloping, looking for bigger projects like that, larger multifamilies that have more like 20 units and up, more commercial mortgages, and just focusing on the markets where I have investments. I want to buy more in Ottawa, I want to buy more in Cornwall and more in Moncton. I like building nodes. So having about at least 3 properties per area, and then you have a team around it because you need a lawyer, you need a mortgage broker, depending on the market. New Brunswick, I can't use the same people as in Ontario. So time consuming, great potential though, like 3% rule instead of 1% rule. So it's very rewarding.
Thanks for listening to the REITE Club podcast and joining our community of real estate investors online at thereiteclub.com, where the focus is about helping you grow. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks from your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.